Got Chris Ferry here for the Domino Effect. Appreciate you coming in.
You bet.
Really cool company. TIG has been a client now for a couple months, but really learned a lot about your history and how 30 years in the making. You know, you're that 30-year overnight success, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But our largest client that we're doing, the largest company we've interviewed for this study, and you guys have had really methodical, just good old-fashioned work ethic growth, right? I mean, talk about how you guys got started.
Part of it, the origin for the company goes back to Bruce Guy, our CEO, setting up sales operations with him and I think one other person out of his apartment in San Diego. And so it goes way back to the very beginning of this industry and his vision for where he thought the world was going to go technology-wise. And so he built out from there, very acquisitive strategy, even from the early days of adding more people and more geography out in the Southern California territory. And what has happened is since those early days in 1980 is we have grown through folks joining the company like myself some 15 years ago approximately.
You started when you were 10.
Yeah, exactly. Two other acquisitions
Yep.
that we have made throughout the years, and today the company expects this year to come in somewhere around 400 million. With just slightly less than 500 employees.
Now, Chris, one of the things that I can speak to your company that I've just experienced is the two words I would call you guys is customer centric. You're really focused on the customer, and that's really why you grew, right? Because you followed your customers into those other markets. They needed you there,
right?
And you evolved to serve.
Yeah.
I mean, is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. I mean, we sell change because we sell technology, and so our customers need to be able to trust that we're going to be able to deliver the technologies and surround that with the complementary services that make this technology work for them, because what they're really all about is solving business problems. So this technology is much more than just delivering a product at a price. It really is about solving a business problem, and I think our account executives embody that because they develop a relationship and a bond with our customers that's built on that foundation.
And I know a lot of your account executives, and the one thing I think is fair to say is they, in their own right, are all subject matter experts. I mean, they know this stuff. I mean, they're not, a lot of companies that are the size of yours will hire bright and shiny people, and they'll stick them in, with the expense accounts, give them a territory, give them a data list. But you guys hire people that know the industry.
Right.
They can come in and provide insight. And you said it, change management. I mean, that's what IT is all about.
Right.
And if you're going to be that trusted advisor there, you got to trust that the human being in the organization behind that. How do you guys go about building that?
Well, we have a lot of training internally that we put all of our folks through, and it's part of our management rigor that they have that built in to the process. So each week, we're going in multiple sessions, and education is an important part of both the people development as well as how we need to serve the customer and what we bring to the table to aid them in what they're trying to do. The other thing is we complement that with engineering talent, and that engineering talent is exceptionally well trained on some of the highest levels of certification available in our industry from our various OEMs on how their technology is to be implemented. So we backstop the account executives with that technical talent. And that makes all the difference between being a distributor of stuff to being a value-added provider of these solutions.
Yeah, it's that significant difference that allows you to look at a business, and when you guys consult, I think it's fair to say you're not just solving the problem the customer thinks they have. You're looking into their industry, into their future, seeing how technology is going to be applied, and getting that much further ahead. I mean, whether it's big data or whether it's, is that fair?
Oh, very fair. You take the education market, as a prime example today, where the trend is away from the books and moving very quickly to the digital based of information. So with that comes wireless technologies that have to be implemented in schools. Comes one-to-one computing, where students, instead of carrying books, are now carrying their devices that connect to this electronic world. And it's a complicated business, and there are a lot of needs. There's a lot of support requirements. And so building with all those things in mind and supporting clients with those solutions is ultimately part of how you get there.
Now, one of the tenets we've seen in the domino effect is innovation is not an option, and I think that's it. How do you guys view innovation, not only for your organization but for your clients? How do you foster innovation?
Well, we're always trying to be on the leading edge and figuring out whether the leading edge has staying power and is of value. Sometimes even the best ideas are not necessarily the right ideas or don't have the longevity. If we advise our clients to invest in those solutions and they don't have the staying power or the proper level of support to really solve those problems long term, then that's not a good solution. Even though it might have been a good idea in the beginning, it's not a real good solution. So ferreting that out and then picking those, which we have an entire group of folks that whose job it is to really bring out the best in breed solutions and make those recommendations, complementing our account executives, complementing our field-based engineering, and validating those solutions.
I would say this in a different way, that one of the things I've watched you guys do is you're not a bright and shiny object company. You focus on filter. What is really important that my clients pay attention to? To your point, it's like there's new technologies coming down all the time. But what are the things that are really going to make change, that are really going to achieve business goals, that are really worth the investment? Because you can really get mired down in technology and get caught in this just started to adopt something that's no longer relevant, and we've lost the entire life cycle of that adoption. Is that fair?
Right. And it's about understanding the customer's pain and implementing that solution. And then helping them with that. And sometimes they don't see how that really needs to work out, but then they need somebody to be honest with them about okay, this is the way that we can do this. This is how we'll get from this point to this point, or we can or cannot make that happen. And so I think that kind of permeates the company, is being able to say both the good news and then sometimes maybe the not so good news about how things need to go or what challenges there are in the way, even within their own organization.
And one of the tenets we've been talking about is partnering versus vendoring. And, vendoring, especially in technology, is dangerous because of that point, if you're just there to move product, which is kind of the state of what VARs used to do, right? And
some still do. And you guys really look at this as partnership. It is like we're here to be your partner in technology, realizing you're in this for the long haul. Talk to me about what that means. Well, for TIG, what that means is we are part of the community that we live and work in, and we, our model has been to stand up brick and mortar, in the main cities that we are in, and to surround that with engineering talent and technical talent in the marketplace. So being in the market and surrounding, those really brings that, I think, home versus, kind of that mail-in, work-from-home kind of position, which just really doesn't have staying power ultimately to the customer. A lot of those organizations may not be there, tomorrow.
Well, in a world where everybody's talking about the cloud, you guys are standing up brick and mortar offices in their communities, so you can physically support them, and so they understand that you understand the relationship matters, right?
Yeah, where the cloud is not the important part, but how to advise people and having intelligence to advise people, on a hybrid cloud solution or an off-premise based solution. These are all challenging things, and there is a lot of thought that has to go into making those decisions. But that's where the world's heading. So we have talent that surrounds that.
So how much of the, so you guys have been around for 30 years. So this question is going to be very different for you guys. How much of the initial team that pulled the company together is still in your ranks?
Well, a lot of them.
Really?
A lot of them. The company has a tremendous longevity within both the management ranks and within the field ranks. And some of our people have been with our founder and CEO from the very beginning, going back to 1982.
Wow.
I joined the company now just approaching 15 years ago. So there's a lot of longevity like that throughout the entire corporation.
So every once in a while, when you're in a company growing the size as you do, people get it outside their roles, and they get outside the lines that we want them to be in. And how do you guys approach that? Knowing when somebody has suddenly become a round peg in a square hole. Is that hard, or do you guys have the KPIs? Is it evident? I mean, how do you go after that?
Well, I think it's a balance. First off, to creating an environment that allows people to grow. I mean, we are not such a big organization that we can't work with people individually and know kind of how things work. But the working those things out is the important part of an organization. So we have a management structure that's aligned. I think our senior team is very close to one another. We have a team really approach, and our theme this year is better together. And so we try to embody that throughout the organization, that working better together is what it's all about. And it's not a perfect world about where the lines are always drawn or how the organizational structure works. So we have very much an understood matrix management philosophy in all that we do. And there's also accountability for those things, and we inspect those numbers on a very regular basis, basically weekly.
Well, the two things I would say about working with your executive team is that it is very much a team approach. It's it's honest, brutal honesty. It's open dialogue, right? And I think you guys, you have to have that if you're you guys have very aggressive growth goals, right?
We do.
And you have to make the goals more important than the individual egos, right?
Yeah.
I think you guys embody that well. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's a balancing act again, but you do have to have your eye on the prize, so to speak, and the prize that we're shooting for is that growth. So we're looking for that growth, as a company, but also needing to understand the needs of the people.
Yeah. So one of the things we talk about is that is the F word, right? Focus. And you guys, everybody in your organization knows the goals. And I think focus. We were joking about, laughing about your lack of marketing strategy but how well you've executed without it, right? Because of focus. I think you guys are so laser beam focused on what you're trying to achieve. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is. We do a national sales meeting every year, bring together, the entire sales team and really, create that central message. And that has been something we've done each and every year, going forward, laying out the plan for the year. And then we work that plan month in and month out. And we have a regular, inspection with our managers every 2 weeks. And so these consistencies are part of the things that allow that focus to in fact happen.
There's this story about Michael Jordan and when he got beat by the Pistons for the last year. I don't know if you ever heard this about the Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah.
You guys remind me of this Breakfast Club because everybody knows the focus and the goal and the eye and the prize. And Jordan got Rodman and Pippen to work out every morning and call this Breakfast Club, and they're with the single, very focused goal of getting to beat the Pistons, right? Being physical enough to take their abuse. And I think that's one of the things that when I think about you guys and how ironclad focused you are, I think it makes up for a lot of things that maybe you don't have the sales and marketing that you'd like or the marketing approach that you like. But because of that, you're so strong here. a lot of things fall off. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I think we aspire to more. You know, I think we'd like our jobs to become easier and easier. That lead generation, that new, account identity and new relationship development. So we're constantly, looking towards that for the future. But I think that hard work pays off.
Yeah.
And that's what our team does.
Yeah, amen. You guys serve a lot of different verticals. How do you use and exploit the power of the niche? Do you have people going after certain verticals? Do you market that way? Do you align salespeople that way?
Yeah, we do align them that way, or ask them for some areas of focus, and in many cases it is their sole focus as far as a specific vertical market. But what we try to do is foster that, and we've created special interest groups among the sales team members and the management members, who meet regularly, about at least once a month, maybe more often than that. And that group creates synergy amongst itself around the vertical market. And take education, for instance. It's a tremendous marketplace. There's a lot of things happening on the national scene, and we're able to share those best practices ideas as we're working to build a complete portfolio to support that education community with the best solutions, really the best of breed solutions that we can take. So we're not just selling, one particular thing in a given geography, but we're selling that entire solutioning portfolio. And then those school districts, depending on what they're looking for, those can be things that they can take in part or in whole. And that's a powerful thing.
Yeah. It's also allowed you to partner with the companies you're reselling or borrowing, for lack of better terms, to make sure they're educating you on how to apply it to that target market, right?
No question about it. And it's also bringing very specialized solutions to bear, because you're able to get much, much deeper, being able to take Promethean-based solutions, whiteboarding solutions, and then the application software that also drives that, and be able to show people why that makes a difference, educating the kids. That's a powerful solution.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've seen you guys do so well. It's one thing to bring a technology to market that's cool and it's got possible applications. It's a whole nother thing to take that application, put it in that environment, and build a use case, a business case, and an ROI scenario that makes sense for that vertical. That's 4 or 5 levels deep, because you really have to pack things up in bows like that for clients to understand how they're going to get utility, right?
Yeah, just to understand. Otherwise, it all kind of mixes in and is kind of mushy. But by getting it into an overall portfolio, I think it becomes much more understandable, and really diving into that solution and knowing what it's going to take to implement that solution is what we end up with.
I got one last question, because I know you guys do a great job at this, and it's managing and motivating your team. And I think you guys, from all the companies that we've interviewed on the Domino Effect, do a great job in recognizing your people and recognizing when they are achieving and doing sales success, especially. I want to figure out how I can get to your sales retreat, right? But you guys you've recognized early on that was something, that the guys taking the arrows for the company, specifically the sales arrows. We have to recognize them. We have to create opportunity. Talk to me about that culture.
Well, I give credit to our CEO. I mean, he has been willing for years and years to make an investment in that recognition specifically, and it's definitely recognition of the top performing salespeople working against a quota target and how well they perform for that year. But it goes much further than that, where we actually recognize and take groups of people on very, very nice trips to Hawaii and other great places to recognize the field and rank and file of various positions within the company, whether it's inside sales, whether it's accounting, or whatever. All those people, all managers, are asked annually to nominate their top performing people. And it's a tough job, and it's hard to make everyone happy. but then a selection is made about the people who will represent that year's President's Club for both sales, which is pretty straightforward with the numbers, but then also for the balance of the staff. And that helps create that culture big time.
Yeah,
no question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a book called The Carrot Principle, and it talks about how companies that have not only lower turnover but lower dollar per salary and what they have to spend to get talent are doing this because they generally recognize more of their team. And I think you guys do a really good job of that. And I think it's why you have the longevity that you spoke of with some of your teams still being there, that part of the founding team, but also it keeps the talent that makes up the knitting, right? Yeah. I mean, it's, to keep somebody that's a good soldier that's out there, whether it's in accounting or sales, you guys have done a good job on retention.
Yeah. We have. I mean, it's never easy, and there's lots of competition in our industry and others. But I think that, being consistent and taking care of those employees, being straight with those employees, also giving them opportunities that they might not otherwise see, that makes for a very loyal group of employees by and large, and we've benefited from that for many years and hope to in the future.
All right, so Chris, you're on the other end of a lot of these companies that we're interviewing. They're trying to crest 10, they're trying to crest 20, they're trying to crest 50 mil. 15 years, you've seen your organization go through that, right? You've seen those numbers come and go. You're going after a really big number, the bill number, right? Million number. What's the one thing you would tell all these guys like me, that are just hitting their first mill, that are trying to get to that 20 number? Knowing what you know, what would you share with a guy like me?
I think the number one thing is to surround yourself with good people. I think that you're not going to reach those higher level goals all by yourself. So you have to surround yourself with good people. And then you also have to take care of those people. And that sometimes means you need to fight for those people. You need to be sensitive, to their personal needs, their professional needs in developing and so on and so forth. And you will build that loyalty. But it is about surrounding yourself with good people. They are the ones that are going to help you get there. If you create that culture, that creates that environment, because it is about you. You're going to be the one that's going to set that tempo. If you set it right, surround yourself with good people, you can make it happen.
Awesome. Great being on here, man.
Yeah. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.